Okay, next we're gonna do glass. Let's test it on these, but before we do that, we're gonna move these up and in so that we can get a better refraction. Cool. And the other glass shader, I tested it. It's being weird. This is not what we want. So I'm gonna show you how to build your own. We're gonna go to material. We're gonna call this Mandala glass. Just gonna pop in there, this here, and we're gonna do just a couple quick things. We're gonna do a vector. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. We're gonna convert to parameter. This first parameter is going to be EX. That's gonna be our emissive multiplier. The next one is going to be our metallic value. The next one is going to be our roughness value. The next one is going to be our alpha or opacity override. And the last one is going to be our index of refraction. Go ahead and click on this or the background. We're going to go to, it's default lit, translucency, gray transmittance, two-sided. We're going to go with surface forward shading. And we also have one down here, refraction method, index of refraction. Okay, also we need a multiply node here. So you're going to want to hold down the M, as in Mike, key, and click. That'll give you a multiply. We're going to do this, and we're going to do 1. That's going to mean that this is just going to be a color unless we boost the emissive. We do want this to have emissive. And actually, I think this might actually need to be 0. We'll play with that. Metallic is here. Roughness is here. Opacity override is there. Index of refraction is there. I'm going to do this to about 1.3. And the rest of these, we're just going to do a 0.5. Save that. Okay, let's try that. Mandala glass. We're going to create this instance. And we're going to apply this right there. Okay, now let's open up the instance and mess with the settings. We want the alpha to be pretty clear, the index of refraction, but we want the roughness to be pretty... See, this is driving me nuts. Why is it? Why is it light gray? Why is it light gray? So after messing around with this for way too long, I figured out it's the skylight. There's other ways to fix this, like we can do a real-time capture, but then we would have to adjust some other stuff, so we're not going to do it that way right now. But we're going to go down to lower hemisphere solid color and check that. Now we're getting the color that it should be. Now we can go to our instance and we can, with an alpha of 0.5, which would probably be more like 0.12. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to be getting. So that lower hemisphere, we might be able to fix that later with ray tracing settings, but we're not going to mess with it right now. So we're going to do this about 2, and EX should be 1. And actually, let's go in and fix the default value. This should be 1, not 0. So we're going to apply that. All right. And that's looking like a glass. So that should be good. You can make it blurry. That might be kind of cool for some effects. We might be able to clean up the noise and export, but we'll see. So that's our glass. We really should be able to see all the different edges of the glass. Similar to how the opal shader is working, you can see all the edges. So that's what we want for our glass. So let's come over here, and we're going to do a camera vector. Oh, how are you? Camera vector world space. We're gonna do vertex normal world space, and the camera vector is just, imagine like a laser coming out of the camera. That's what that is. Vertex normal world space. I think that's actually on the geometry. I'm actually not sure about that one, but we're gonna do dot product, put that in, and then we're gonna do, so this should be black and white, previewing that. Okay, yep. So now we're gonna do a color, because something that happens with glass is there's a surface and an interior, and we're gonna make, there's a surface and an interior. So that's kind of what we're getting with this. It doesn't matter where we turn this, there's always going to be a surface and looking inside. It'll make I'm about to make it more apparent here. Let's turn this to 5 and start previewing. So you see, it's like we're looking into this globe. I'm going to turn this back to 5, and we're going to do a warp. It's linear interpolate. Putting in, we're going to slant this in here. Let's see. No, we actually want this to be alpha because this is what we're going to use to mask between our two. So we want the EX to be in the multiply. That's all good. We want this to go here. We want that to go there. And there. What this is going to end up making is like a glowing glass, so we can manually fake light hitting the different sides of this thing, which I'll show you in a second. So I think that'll do it. This, I want the parameter to just be named color here, and we're going to apply on that. All right, so let's just make sure that the material we were just editing was Mandala glass. That's where we added our camera vector. And let's open up, or let's make sure that its material instance is the one that's actually applied. We're gonna reduce the roughness. Yep, this is the correct one. Okay, and now this is black. We're going to increase the EX, and we're going to decrease the power. Okay, and what you'll notice is happening here, I'll show you the preview here. It's just, it's emitting its own light now. So we don't have to rely and we don't have to put lights in the scene and put them at perfect angles and stuff. We can kind of just fake it with this. And I was messing around with this a little bit more, and we're going to change the Mandala glass a little bit more to give us some more granular control here. So this, here, I'll undo it for you and explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is just color. This is just color. So we're going to plug this. So the color is in A, one is B, this is the alpha. That's got all of our camera vector stuff. That's just going to go in base color. But for our emissive channel, we're going to want to do this into multiply, and then the multiply goes into emissive color. Okay, that's the correct setup. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that we can control how bright and emissive the surface of the glass is, and we can also control how it spreads across the surface as well. So it just gives us a little more control here. And I'm just going to put it here. And you can see now we're getting how glass actually behaves. It does have a surface to it, and we can more easily see the different sides. And if there's an angle that we're going to be viewing it from that we can't see as much as we would like, decrease this and get that going. And there. Now we can see the edges of that glass, and it's behaving more like glass. Alright, one more thing to add to our glass shader. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through it. So essentially what I noticed is I wanted more control over how this spread across my glass. So I'm going to apply this and I'll show you. While this is nice, while I can get the edges, I really wanted to be able to decide to light up the center rather than the edges. So I wanted to be able to invert it, and that's why I added this 1 minus node. If you right click, you're going to do 1 minus. This is essentially just inverting the values. So if I apply that, you'll notice if I then go to the instance, the center is highlighted rather than the edges. So it just gives you yet another way to art direct your materials. The more you can art direct your materials, the more you're going to be able to get exactly what you're looking for. And telling the computer what to do rather than letting it tell you what to do is really the name of the game. And it makes the difference between professional work and amateur work. So I want to be able to switch on the fly, and that's what this is. So I'm going to delete this and make a new one. We're going to do a switch, static switch parameter. I'm going to name this parameter glint inverse, or glint inv, and if this is true, it's going to invert it. So I want to include that in this path. And if it's false, I want it to just take the base camera vector value. So we're going to apply that. we're going to go to our Mandala glass shader. We're going to save that just to make sure it updates correctly. And here you'll see our glint inverse value. We're going to check that on. Okay, we'll see it's working. If we don't want it inverted and we want to see the edges more clearly, we're going to just light that. So yeah, that's going to give us more control. And that's a good segue into our lighting. In Unreal Engine and with a lot of real-time rendering, and actually with all rendering packages really, you really do have to fake things to get exactly the effect you want. So sometimes you do have to fake lighting in your materials instead of just relying on what the computer just tells you it's supposed to look like. So that's a good segue into our lighting. So let's get into our lights.